All right, let's dive into it. Everybody knows what funnels are, right? I'm assuming you might think about funnels as this awareness, interest to action, acquisition, activation, all the way to revenue. By the way, they call this the R framework. And or you can look it up online. There are thousands of different shapes of funnels. I'm not actually talking about that today. I'm talking about the marketing experience of the user, the Russell Brunsons, the ClickFunnel sessions of the world, where people start from an opt-in and then they go through different touch points and they end up buying, opting into something, booking you on a calendar. This is what I'm going to be discussing today. Um, and I'm going to go to the entire concept of the funnel. So how you can build it, how do we approach it, how you can craft an offer in the offer framework, which most companies get stuck on. And I have 5 different funnels that I will cover with you. So we have a lot. Um, and after that, I have a bonus, if I can get to, which is talking a little bit about ad strategy and how you can craft top of the funnel ad rotation process. Just a quick thumbs up if you feel this is exciting and this is what you're here to expect. All right. Cool, cool. How are we doing on the audio? Just a quick mid-session audio test here. George, we good?
Great.
Great, great.
Perfect. All right, let's talk about the process of building a funnel. Um, so usually when we talk about a funnel, we start backwards, right? We speak to the client, we speak to the agency, and we say, what is your end goal? What are you trying to achieve? So are you trying to bring more product purchases if you're an e-commerce store? Are you trying to get more demo bookings? If you have a SaaS product, you're trying to get more signups. Maybe you're selling a book or a membership. Always start with the end goal. If companies want to, everybody wants purchase, but sometimes you have to be realistic because maybe there's a sales team and a marketing team. So maybe our job with this funnel is to deliver to the sales team, as an example, qualified demo booking on their calendars. That could be a solid um, end goal. Once we've identified that end goal, we walk our way back to the beginning because without any traffic, obviously we don't have a funnel with it. It's going to be sitting there collecting dust. So what we do here is we try to identify how can we bring traffic to that funnel. Do we have an email list that we can work with? Do we have a LinkedIn campaign outreach? Are we doing events like this or joint webinar where we can work with our partners and their community to drive traffic and awareness to us? Maybe you have a partner relationships, social media. So you have to really focus on the traffic source because we want to drive traffic to the funnel. The ones that I always talk about in my weekly sessions, which by the way, we have a weekly session where we pick a random funnel online and we break it down end to end. The most successful ones I've seen, they have a running ad somewhere. And down this presentation, when I'll get to it, I'll show you some of the strategies of building those ads. Cool. All right. So what we do once we get the traffic source active, we have to craft the offer. So the offer here is quite. And I'm sorry. Sorry. Quick pause. Yadira, any chance, please, just to mute the mic? We can hear you.
Bueno, ya conversaste que tú no vas para Punta Cana.
I think George, maybe do you mind just?
Deberías
Yeah,
de conversarlo.
you
Pues si tú
can.
sigues así, un par de días más.
Yeah,
Yo
sure.
creo
Just one second.
que sea recomendable que tú manejes de esa manera.
All right. So we craft the offer here, which I'll talk about. What is it going to be? An ebook, consultation, early access? Because we want people to take those micro investments, as we call them. Most people don't want to book appointments directly unless they're really up there and they're ready. So what we try to get people to do is to make micro investments at a time. A click on an ad is actually an investment, believe it or not. Reading or spending more than 10 seconds is the second type of investment. Filling out a simple form to download something is a third type of investment. And the mindset of every marketer is, let me get them hooked a little by little until they're ready for a 20, 30-minute consultation call, right? That's what we're trying to get them to invest in. Now, the process is what happens after they claim that offer. What is the drip going to look like? What are the invites and outreach, whether we're doing email follow-ups, email, SMS, or even adding retargeting to it. So this is where the magic happens, or most of the work in between takes place. I'm going to be breaking down samples of funnels that summarize this whole process, but I just want you to kind of see how simple it is. Start with a goal, walk back to the traffic source, build an offer, and then build the follow-up sequences. Okay. All right. Any questions, George? We have any comments or anything?
Will we have these? Will we have these slides?
Everything.
If you are on this session, you will get the slides. Yes, Elaine, absolutely.
Everything is great, Richard. No comments or questions for now.
Thank you, George.
Sure.
All right, let's talk about the offer framework. So this was inspired by, and by the way, somebody here just drew something, which is, let me clear it out. By the way, Zoom has been hacked a couple of times the past few weeks, so be aware of that. All right, so the offer framework is where most companies, marketing teams get stuck. They identified an end goal, let's say it's a booking, a calendar, and they identified some sources of traffic, but what is the offer that's going to be capturing the interest so people can click on an ad and move on to a landing page? And we have an offer framework where you have to choose one of the offers to be able to craft it. This is inspired by Damian Thompson from LeadFuse, with our own little twist on top of it. So I'm going to give you 12 different potential offers, which you can adopt any of them for your own campaign. So the first one is a checklist. I think most of you have used it or downloaded a checklist of any sort in the past. So developing a checklist of, you know, the 10 things you should have before you, I don't know, run your NFT project. Here's a checklist that you need to know before you start investing or using Robinhood investment apps or whatever, right? That could be a checklist that people fill out a form they could get and download. You can be offering a partnership opportunity, and that's obviously B2B more than B2C as an offer. You can have an ebook and a white paper, probably the most popular one, developing it and make it ready for download. It's one type of offer that we've seen a lot out there. If you have a SaaS product, you can offer a free trial or free service. You can have a value video. I really love this one. And I'll give you an example. This amazing video editor created a solid course, which he was selling for $1,000. And he created a 15 minutes video that he summarizes his entire course in 15 minutes. And he gives a lot of value in that video, but I was able to watch it and I got hooked on it that I'm almost that close to buying his $1,000 course. Although I don't do video editing, but his value video was so good that I really felt like he's a qualified video production guy I'm willing to invest in. So value videos could be one of the offers out there. You can offer a lifetime deal. For example, if you buy into the product today, instead of paying, I don't know, $100 a month, you're gonna pay $300 flat fee for life. Not for everybody, but we did see it. We do see it out there. Obviously, you can run webinars like we're doing right now. So the way we do our webinars, we use them primarily for awareness, but we also do get long-term relationships through these. We train our existing clients to do things better. So webinars are really good, but they require you to put these together to do the invites. So they are quite extensive. Ones that I really like are podcasts and joint events. This is where you combine forces with others and you have your own community. They have their own community and you're just bringing value, exchanging value there. So this will allow you to get exposure to other potential sources of leads. Offering private consultation. So if you're in the service industry, this is great, but you just have to be very careful because people don't want to invest that time sitting with you for an hour. So how do you position this is going to be quite tricky. I usually like to do the private consultation after the value video, but that's up to you. Some people, they do private consultation at $1,000 and then they slash it. It's going to be offered for free for, let's say, the first 100 people. You can offer a free tool, and you've seen this a lot with mortgage companies. They have a free mortgage calculator. I've worked with companies that could assess the value of your home, and they have a tool just built where they ask qualifying questions and then they send them back an email with the value of their home. I mean, there are a lot of different things you can think about in terms of how you can develop a tool sitting on a landing page that people can use to opt in and use that tool. In VBOUT, we created a comparison chart between different marketing platforms because there are so many out there. So to make our buyers' life easier, we made a compare tool. We made it unbiased as much as we can, of course, and we made it available. And that was one of our top winning campaigns for us to drive traffic to our booking calendar. You can create a survey or a gift card. And I've talked about this in the past, I think a couple of sessions ago, where a lot of companies are realizing they're spending thousands of dollars on Facebook or AdWords. So they're taking a small chunk of that and they're giving it directly to the lead. But there's a little condition there, is that the person has to qualify. You don't want to be sitting out there just giving away gift cards. So I'll just take an example. Maybe you are working with CIOs, and you're offering a service that's an IT infrastructure audit service. So maybe your ad is going to look like this. You were out there, we're trying to talk to CIOs, and we're offering a $150 gift card. But you have to, one, be CIO or C-level. Two, you have to have more than 50 employees. Three, you have to be located in the United States, right? If you meet these three criteria, then we'll have the conversation. And it's working a lot, very well with a lot of the companies that I've worked with, and I've personally gotten some gifts from companies, but I've had the conversations and I actually bought into one of the products out there. So if you're thinking you want to take some of that money being sent to Facebook and give it to your potential leads, that could be a great idea. Last but not least, giving free audit. That means you're maybe reviewing the credit card processing from an existing merchant at no cost to me. Maybe you're assessing the digital marketing strategy that you're having at no cost and coming up with a better strategy. Whatever it is, you can offer free audit, and we've seen them work very well with specific type of industries. So this is the offer framework. Do you guys have any questions on this? Anybody want to add? Please unmute yourself and share.
Yeah. Richard, Michelle is asking if captioning is available. I'm not sure if captioning means the screenshots or...
Yeah, George, on Zoom, you see the three dots. If you click on it, you're going to see caption.
Okay, one second. From above. The three dots. Yeah. It's the
live transcript. You can make me make me organizer, and I can activate that.
Yeah, just 1 second. I can make you.
All right. Yeah, I will definitely have the recording and the slides available to you guys if you are on here. Yeah. So George.
Yeah, I made you a host.
You made me a host. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't see myself a host, but okay, let's carry on. I think you can work with Elsa on this.
Yes.
So this is the offer framework, guys. Any questions? All right, no questions so far. Let's move on to the types of funnels. So right now I'll cover private consultation funnel. So I'll give you the framework for that. Webinar funnel, video email funnel, SaaS funnel, and finally e-commerce funnel. Okay. What I'm about to show you is not set in stone, meaning you'll take it, you'll change it, tweak it, adapt it to your own. But what I'm going to be doing is we always, just to emphasize, you have to have one of the offers as the top of the funnel. Very, very important. Taking an inventory of what are the different pieces that are involved in that funnel, and finally track the KPIs that matter to see if these funnels are actually working or not. Nobody want a funnel running and you're not converting, you're not getting bookings, you're not getting purchases. That's not what we want. So we have to set our KPIs in place in order for us to have a successful funnel experience. All right, so let's just start with the first funnel, private consultation. I've done so many analysis on this, and I've seen companies do it well, and I've seen companies just create a disaster of a funnel. But overall, they have very basic foundation here. So let me activate my pen. Clear our drawing, and here we go. So I'm always starting with an end result. What am I doing? Ideally, I have private consultation booking. So people are going to my calendar, which is embedded on the landing page, and they're booking me so they could have a deeper conversation to see if I'm a good fit for them or not, or maybe just to get some pricing. This is industry agnostic. It could be for a B2B product. It could be for a service company. It doesn't really matter. And as I mentioned to you, you don't have to stick to this layout. You can add steps in between. Pardon me. Okay, once I've identified what I want people to do, which is calendar booking, I'm coming back to the beginning, is where I'm getting the source of the traffic. So this is where I can get creative. Do I have an email list? Am I running an ad on AdWords, LinkedIn, Facebook? Some people just focus on one channel at a time. For example, we have Facebook and YouTube. These are the two ad channels that we drive free booking from. Once I've identified the source of the traffic, I've created the ad. Now what I need is the offer. So there are a couple of ways we can get this going. One, we can have a value video. So in this case, I randomly chose a value video, perhaps talking about funnels. I can talk about funnels, teaching people the framework, and I can house this in a 30-minute video right here. Okay. But before people get to the video, they have to come into a landing page where they have to fill in the form, and from there get access to the video. Okay. Very important. So I can invest a couple of hours of my time. I can put a presentation that doesn't have to be anything fancy. I can record it, Zoom or any screen recording, and then create a very basic landing page and put that 20, 30-minute video on it. Okay. Then I'll create the gated page where I have the form. And now I have the top of the funnel ready. So people click on the ad, they come to the page, they have a 1-minute video. By the way, this is just an introductory video, but it doesn't have to be. This could be a banner, but we've seen like a 1-minute video work really well. That tell people, if you fill in the form, I'm going to give you full access to the video where I'm going to be talking about everything you need to know to build a successful funnel, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. Once they fill in the form, they get access to the video. But here's some things that are going on in the background. As a marketer, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to collect an email address. I'm trying to collect phone number. I'm trying to collect a retargeting pixel. And I'm trying to collect a browser push consent. So I can target people any of these channels. Very, very important. Okay. So I repeat, I'm trying to get an email, phone, a retargeting pixel, and a browser push consent. And here's how I can do that. The form can collect an email and a phone number. So for you to access my video, you have to give me an email and you have to give me a phone. Okay, that's a required field on the form. And honestly, we've seen people who were skeptical about collecting phones and they say, we don't want to do it. You know what? This is my term. If you want my video, you got to give me this access. And I haven't seen an issue with the drop-off rates with many of the companies. They start to drop off when they have extensive long forms asking for all sorts of things. So this form can house a name, a company, if you're B2B, phone number, and maybe 1 or 2 qualifying questions, depending on your industry. So if you're, let's say, you're offering English teaching classes, maybe one of the qualifying questions could be, what is your English level? You know, are you level 1, level 2, level 3, right? Because you want to be able to, down the road, create a proper segmentation. So put a little bit of thought in this form because it will pay off down the road. All right, the third piece of item I'm trying to collect in the background is the retargeting pixels. So this is why on the landing page, I have a Facebook code. It could be Facebook, it could be in AdWords, or any platform of choice that you use for your ad management. You can plug it on your landing page. Okay, so far so good. Okay, once people fill in the form on the thank you page or where the video is playing, and I have to time this, I can trigger a browser push prompt asking people if they want to get notifications from us via their browser. Now, whether you time it after the video, 20 minutes into the visits, 5 minutes into the visits, it's up to you. Just make sure you're not interfering too much into the user experience. If you're able to collect these 4 from a user or a visitor, I think you have a lot higher chance in converting them down the road. And this has been proven in every single funnel that we've built. We often see companies just get stuck here. They get an email, they don't really collect anything else. And that's fine. But you're going to notice there's a reason why your email list is always 15 to 20% open rates, right? You have 80% of people, you have no other ways to reach them. And that's what we're trying to capture on, is that 80% that will not open email just because they don't like email. Or maybe they have very strict filters, or maybe they're just a once a week type of email checker, if you want to call them. So let's work towards that in our funnel and keep that mindset in everything that we build moving forward. All right, I've created enough clutter here. Let me clear up. So what happens after they watch the video? It's not going to stop here. I have to think the next step. The next steps are a CTA on the landing page, asking them if they want to take action to book a private consultation with you. And this is where, in your recording, in your presentation, you always have to have a hook. You have to include some sort of an offer that's so good. They like your content, and what they're getting after that is access to the calendar booking, and they could book you for a private consultation. Maybe it's a 10-minute consultation with one of your success managers. Maybe it's a full-on hour. I don't know how you want to do this, but this is where you're going to add that CTA. Now, in the background too, we trigger our automation sequences. This is where we start dripping content bit by bit, right? We send a thank you email. We have some case studies being sent. We're educating the user bit by bit of who we are, but I want to keep providing value. These emails shouldn't be about them booking you, them buying from you. It should be more value. And those that I've seen do really well with this are actually always giving more videos, more tutorials, more empowerment, because people know they could buy from you already, right? Everybody's accustomed to online buying. And these emails will have a main idea, is I want to teach you more. But if you want me, hey, there's a booking calendar. Anytime you can book us for a consultation. Quick pause here. How are we doing, George? Any questions? Any feedback from anyone?
Yeah, we have a question from Parker.
Sure.
Parker is saying, can you speak to how you use account-based marketing in conjunction with your sales funnel?
Wow, that's a big question. Parker, right?
Yes, Parker.
Okay. So account-based marketing, for those of you who don't know, it's technically targeting, let's say you can do C-level executives at Microsoft and IBM and Apple, let's say, all right, who match very specific criteria. So you're talking about very specific niche of groups that you're targeting with a specific offer. You can craft a funnel for those types of leads. And I've worked with somebody who crafted a funnel for one company, and they got all the employees from that company at the C level and they literally uploaded that list to AdWords. They uploaded that list to Facebook, and they created an audience from them, and then they created an ad that talking to those employees, and they did pretty well getting the bookings from certain key levels. But the companies they targeted were thousands of employees. So that's one way to do it. Is if you want to build a funnel for a specific niche clientele or a group of people that from a company or a bunch of companies, you can start with the list of their employees and create a retargeting ad that's going to get them through a funnel that's custom tailored to them. That's just one idea out of the few dozens that we can work with. Parker, anything you'd like to add to that?
No, thank you.
Absolutely.
We have also a question from Ken.
Okay.
Excuse me. What's browser push prompt and the benefit of using it? Of course, Ken, the benefit of browser push is for people whom you don't have their emails, okay? It can be a benefit for both your users or those who don't have their emails. And you guarantee that you can reach them without risking, for example, for your messages to be delivered to their spam folder, unlike emails. That's one of the benefits. Yeah. If Richard, you would also want to add another benefit for the browser.
Yes. So the browser push technology is nothing recent, but for some reason hasn't been quite adopted as wide as possible. Because a browser, if you're using Chrome, if you're using Safari, or if you're using Firefox, it has its own hash ID and address on the web. Every single browser out there has a unique ID, just like an email. And you can communicate to that browser directly by sending them a browser push message. You've probably seen them from Slack or from Skype or from your Gmail app, showing that little card on the bottom of the screen saying, hey, you got a new email. These are push notifications. So you can offer that technology and launch it on to your own business using frameworks like VBOUT. We have a component for that. It doesn't need an email, doesn't need a phone. All it does is that your browser shows you a message, and if you click yes on that message, then we can send you those notifications. Ken, is that clear?
Yeah, that's fine. Thank you.
Sure. And
sure,
we have a lot of resources on it. George, I don't know if you have this at your fingertip. If you have any presentations right now handy, you can send Ken.
Yeah,
exactly. Add it in the chat. I think it's very valuable.
Sure.
Cool. All right, moving on, guys. I want to introduce a couple of things here, which get some, I've seen companies use very well. You can introduce in the funnel an outbound call. If you've collected the phone here.
Sorry, can I ask?
Yes, Arun. Arun, you're muted.
Yeah, sorry. When you say each browser has a code, is that different from? So if I am running multiple tabs of the browser, the code will still be the same, or is it like it changes if I'm starting multiple instances of browser on the machine?
No, usually Chrome itself will have its own unique hash ID. The message that asks for permission, the visitor has to be on your site. This is when you trigger that message via the I think they call it I totally forgot. It's a JavaScript code that you add and a service worker, we call it. It sends a signal from your browser, from the website to the browser, asking the browser, can we send browser notifications? Give us your ID. If the client says yes, moving forward, they could be anywhere else and they could still get messages from you because they provided that consent. It's very similar to the allow location tracking on your phone, except it's done via the browser.
Got it. Thank you.
Pleasure. All right, so what we can do here is we can introduce an SDR outbound call for some industries where people can do an outreach to those who actually watch the video and they engage with some emails by creating an automation that assigns leads to SDRs. SDRs is sales development rep. Some people call them ISRs. They have different terms. But this is someone, their entire job, once you get your top of the funnel really big, is to dial out a phone and say, hey, you've watched our video. I'm wondering if, there are any takeaways, if you'd like to book a private call with us so we can see if we can help you more. So there's some sort of qualification, and to get them physically to book a calendar with you. Now you have to be careful with this. You don't want to be too pushy. You don't want to know people on too many calls. But if you want to introduce an SDR follow-up, there's a chance for you to add it to the funnel. You can do an SMS, but you have to add the consent here next to the phone that's saying, by giving us your number, we're going to send you SMS. Very important, depending on country, but some countries, they don't let you send SMS unless there's a consent prior. Anyways, and you can add conditions down the road. Like if no booking was made, that means they didn't book a calendar. Maybe we can push them for a different kind of retargeting ad, or maybe we can, add them to CRM for other nurture, or do handoffs between automations. Okay. I'm not gonna get too complicated with this, but once you gather that lead and you have all that information, you're in charge of how you can message them, where you can message them, and what kind of message to send them. Okay. So what I've done so far is I've laid this out, and you can do it on a piece of paper, by the way, right? Just sit down creatively, creating what you think is the best flow. And then you take a quick inventory. You say, in this case, I need 1, 2, 3 landing pages, right? So that's 3 pages. I need a web form. I need to have a drop retargeting pixel. I need an ad. I need a browser push prompt, calendar booked, and the email sequence. So you literally take an inventory and a checklist, and you roll up your sleeves and you start implementing it. Now, it's not easy and it takes time, but it's not rocket science. I'm pretty sure everybody who's attending our call today can do more than 90% of this. I think the most challenging part for most is they're afraid of the tech. That's one. But at VBOUT or any similar products, we try to make your life as easy as possible. 2, the content. You have to write a solid content that flows nicely from the ad to the page, the video, the emails, and finally when you're closing the deal. If you can do this, the funnel on average might take anywhere from 5 to 10 hours to build. If it's a complex funnel, obviously it takes a little bit longer, but it can run indefinitely. Our funnel that we built for the comparison chart has been running for 2 years, and it still gets us results until today. So I highly recommend you invest in a funnel, even if it takes you a little bit of time to put together. All right, I got 4 more funnels to cover, but I took a little more time here because I want you to understand the foundations of what I'm trying to do. Any questions?
Yes, guys, please feel free to ask any questions. You can either unmute yourself or post in the chat.
Perfect. Thank you, everyone here. Let's move on to number 2, webinar funnel. Obviously, this is popular. Many of you have attended webinars. This is an example of a webinar. You'll notice we're going to be including a link to our demo on VBOUT. And one thing you might have noticed is that I've talked about the product a little bit in the beginning. I always try to keep it less than 3 minutes, 3 to 5 minute stops. And I'm not trying to sell you on VBOUT, but I want you to know, if you are on the market to build a funnel, or if you're out there looking for a marketing stack, think about us and stack us against HubSpot and these other products. Maybe we're going to be the right fit for you. Maybe we won't, but that's the key here, is for you to be aware of what we can do for you, right? And typically in these types of webinars, the way that we work with companies to structure them is as follows. The process is the same for the simplest webinar that has 20 people and the webinars that have thousands. First, you need to think, what do you want to achieve at the end? If you want to do booking a consultation or buying a product, there has to be some sort of a CTA. And I just gave you a CTA, which is the VBOUT booking. So George, please put a link in the chat. But once I've identified my goal, I go back to the beginning. Where am I going to get the traffic? How I'm going to invite people? You can invite your email list. You can invite your LinkedIn connections. Now LinkedIn has an event component baked into it. So maybe some of you came from there. You can create an event on Facebook and cross-share it across groups that resemble or are in your industry. Obviously, you can work your social media. You can put an ad if you'd like. Regardless, you have some ways to drive traffic, even if you want to spend $0. You put in a little bit of effort to do that kind of outbound invites. In VBOUT, we use everything. We use Meetup as a platform. We send invites to some of our clients. We do a LinkedIn outreach, and it always gets us people who are looking for that topic. So it works. Now, second, you need a booking page because people have to fill in something to opt into the event, right? You want to get them on the attendees list. You need to know who's attending the event. Otherwise, the speaker will not have enough information. You don't know who's attending, and you don't know if you can do any follow-ups thereafter. So typically, you need a landing page that houses enough information to talk about that webinar. And there are two breeds of landing pages. There's the one that's offered natively by Zoom and GoToWebinar or whatever system you choose. And there are those that you build yourself and you connect. I like the latter because most of the time I can control the look and feel. I can drop my own retargeting and tracking in there. I can add videos and make it look a lot more attractive. Regardless, you need that landing page to drive the signups. On that page, just like I did before, email, phone, and drop a retargeting pixel, right? We talked about that. And once they fill in the form, we send them a thank you email. And the normal cadence is you send a 1-day reminder, the day off reminder, and then a recording the day after or the day of, okay? Which we're going to be doing today in the next day or so with you guys. This cadence is a staple, right? It includes the details of the event, an add to calendar button, and all that stuff. And some of these emails can also be done natively through Zoom or others. But the problem with it is if you don't do it yourself, the engagement in the email, that open and that click, is counted towards Zoom, not towards your own email reputation. So for what I advise my clients is for us to send their email reminders, even though it takes a little bit more effort. But when people open and click and they add to calendar through my own email invites, I'm sending the signals to the Gmails of the world that I have a good, solid reputation. My clients are active, and that boosts my open rates overall with time. Okay, so I want you really to think about this. If you don't have time and you want to do the defaults, that's fine. But these small details matter down the road. All right. Now, after you finish this, there's a thank you page. And this is where a lot of people probably don't think about the content they want to put in on the thank you page when they sign up to the webinar, not the day of the webinar. But here you can add a CTA to join your community. You can trigger that browser push prompt, which we discussed a little bit. So this is where I can try to cache the browser push consent. Think about the thank you page as an additional asset and don't underestimate its power. Some people put links to other events that they're hosting. So this is a really important real estate, guys. All right, the day of the event, you're running the webinar. How do you position yourself as you're not pushing selling, you're just providing value? Introduce yourself, provide a CTA in the beginning to talk to you or book you. In the beginning to talk to you and book you, and towards the end to talk to you and book you. There's 3 types of registrants: those who attend early, those who attend late, and those who leave early. So you want to be able to give all of them the option to book you, right? So pitch yourself 3 times, and everything else should be providing value, okay? If you guys think I'm providing value here, please give me a thumbs up. I would love to see if I'm overly pushing selling or if I'm actually doing a good job with this. Really appreciate it. All right. So once I finished the webinar, we got the recording. Now we can house it on its own page. And we can even do it. This landing page that I created initially can become an evergreen, ready forever type of page that houses a recording for an event. right? Whether you clean the video a little bit, remove the intros and stuff, and jump right to the topic, but you can literally create those assets and those landing pages, gated content, as many times as you create webinars. And we do this in VBOUT. We cycle content indefinitely. We add them to different drips in different places where we see they match. So I highly recommend you recycle those recordings. And finally, wherever you house them, make sure you add a CTA to book a consultation if that's your end goal, or to sign up to your product, or to claim an offer. Last but not least, the journey within the automation side of things shouldn't stop after the event. You can take this person after the event and add them to more videos, maybe older webinars, or perhaps some more content and educational material. So you think about a continuous handovers between, you know, the top of the funnel content, more in-depth content, and just, you know, the mindset of moving from not knowing who you are to knowing exactly who you are. All right, the inventory here is straightforward. The landing page with the form, the thank you page, retargeting pixel, the email invites, those drips. So you're talking about probably 8 different assets you have to build. And once you do it once, the beauty about platforms like VBOUT is you can put them all in a group and just make a copy of that group and make simple edits to each. So that could be an easy way to recycle your content. All right. Any questions before I move on to the next funnel?
No, we only have a question from Garrett that I missed.
Sure.
Will you do a B2C funnel?
Yeah, I'm gonna do an e-commerce one, and this, so we'll talk about that. Cool. All right, moving on to a video email funnel. This is so simple, you guys, and I love it because we can track so much in email, and this relies on an opt-in, right? It could be your existing email list, or it could be Facebook paid form, the ad form, LinkedIn ad form. And when people fill it in and you get those leads, you can create a Zapier, add them to your product of choice, VBOUT or others. And you send them email number 1. Maybe you're providing a video sequence only via email. You don't need a landing page or anything like that. So what you do is you send them the video number 1 on day 1, including the video you want them to watch. It could be daily tips. It could be an entire course where you're forcing them to watch one video every day, whatever it may be. But this is one that I saw with a client who did really well with it. They were sending motivational videos every day to their clients, and they sent so many, and they have a CTA that says, if you want to get the next video tomorrow, please click here. So they were driving engagement because that click is super important for the ESPs of the world, the email service providers. Once they click, Gmail give you a thumbs up, and now you have better open rates overall, better click-throughs. So we have video 1, and you can program an automation that the moment we listen to the click, we send them email number 2. And then when we listen to the second click, email number 3 the day after. And obviously, I'll leave it to you to imagine how long you can build this. Whether it is you're doing like a first video and a bonus, and then a value video with a company story, and a value video with a case study. Usually case studies come last because it's an indirect or soft selling, we call it. But if you haven't built case studies, guys, every company at the foundation should have case studies in mind, because case studies are an absolute proof that you are doing something good. Okay. Now, the last video you send, maybe that's the final sequence here. From here, I can provide a link to a calendar booking, and that calendar booking can be Calendly. It could be a VBOUT calendar component because we have our own. It could be your HubSpot calendar, whatever. But you're sending people there to book you if they're convinced that that sequence is solid and they establish a relationship. When people invest watching 5-6 videos, trust me, they're more ready to speak to you than booking you from the first place. Cool. This is a very simple sequence. Any questions on this?
No questions on this, but Elaine is asking about the best practices to keep the contact lists clean and organized. I think we can cover the sunset policy or adding,
Yeah,
the hard
absolutely. And
bounces.
great question. In VBOUT, we have our own layer that we always watch for soft bounces, hard bounces, spam complaints, unsubscribes. We handle all of that. The client never touches it, and we want you to just forget about them because we take care of it. But you can add rules here in that flow. If somebody does not open, what do we do? You can be a little bit more aggressive with those that are opening. That means if your cadence is once a day, those who open, you send them once a day, and those who don't, you can do once a week. And those who never open for 6 months, you can suppress them completely. So we can think about different sunset policy. The lenient sunset policy, which means you don't suppress people, but you send them less frequently. The moderate is the one you give them 1 year to open, and the one that's strict is in 6 month time. If they don't engage, you suppress them completely. All right, 2 more funnels, guys. A lot of content here. We're almost there. This is the SaaS funnel. Obviously, we invested so much of this in VBOUT, so we know what we're talking about here. Every SaaS company should have multiple gateways to get people interested. And some of these examples, I'll give you a couple of options here. One of them is a comparison chart between you and other products. And some people will say, I don't want to educate my clients or potential clients of my competitors. Well, guess what? They're out there, they're doing the research, and they know that other options exist. This is the 2021. So with that in mind, make it easier for them, create a compare chart. I haven't seen anybody come to us and we lost business because we showed them how we stack up against our competitors. It was always the opposite. And the moment we got them through the gateway and they compared us, they felt that I have provided value to them. So a compare chart offer is a tool, if you remember my framework, to get people interested, to give you their email and their phone, and you can create an ad that drives people to that comparison chart. Number 2, you can create a canned demo of your product. So this is probably targeting a little bit more users who know a bit about you, right? Maybe they started with the comparison chart and you created a retargeting ad to get them back into the canned demo. And I'm going to talk about that in a second. And finally, you can have just a very solid blog or an evergreen pre-recorded webinar video, which we did before, ready, and people can watch it to learn something new, okay? Whatever it is, I think as a SaaS company, your gateway to the funnel should not rely on just one. You probably should be doing a couple more, couple or three different gateways. Cool. Once they claim or they go through any of these offers, we drop in a retargeting pixel. Don't forget the rule of 4. We collected an email and a phone number. And at some given time, maybe when they're browsing our compare chart, we can trigger a browser push prompt. Number 4. All right, let's dissect it a little bit more because the SaaS funnel is a little bit different than other types of funnels because it doesn't end with the conversion, right? People can come here and then finally they could sign up. Let's assume they signed up. They went to the thank you page right here. Now they became a user of the product. And I don't like the term user, but unfortunately I always default back to it. But they became a practitioner of the product, let's say. Now here you can do the trust sequence where you can send them, a thank you, an option to review the product, or you can leave the review the product for later because maybe they need to experience the product before they review you, obviously, right? But what you do here with the trust sequence, which you see on top, it's a thank you, how some other people are using the product through your case studies. This is why I talked about case studies. And also, finally, after, let's say, a couple of weeks, you can look at some of those metrics of utilization, whether it is, they're logged in every day or whatever is that aha moment, and send them the review request.
Hey, Richard, quick
Sure.
question for you. So in a SaaS, a lot of times, well, almost always, the data is being managed in the SaaS system directly. They have their own data space. They're monitoring their user behaviors. And as people progress through the behaviors, it's the SaaS that's going to identify those. How do we push that information into a marketing automation system like VBOUT?
A great question. Triggers, right? Some people integrate segments into their product, mixed panel, and there are plenty out there. But you can send a trigger when people do something, right? Like let's say in the case of VBOUT, if somebody verified a domain, I send the flag. If they added a tracking pixel, I send the flag. And that could be programmatically done. It needs a little bit of engineering, Eric, to be transparent. But if you have that already plugged into your data layer, whether it is segment or it is Google Tag Manager or others, maybe you can communicate it back to your system of choice like VBOUT in terms of flags or in terms of fields on and off, okay? So if somebody uploaded, a file that's an on, you send the signal back to VBOUT. Now VBOUT has that variable in place. If somebody created a template, that's an on, send it back to VBOUT as a one. So you can get a little bit creative with that. Is that helpful?
Perfect,
And
thank
by
you.
the way, the live transcript is taking VBOUT as Viva. So it's ruining the whole meet. Please, when you read it, it's VBOUT.
VBOUT, not Viva. Okay, it's okay. All right, so this is the first sequence, guys. It's the trust sequence, and the delays between emails. Obviously, this is not happening the same day. So the thank you email today, the case study can be next week, and the review can be 2 weeks down the road. So think about the distance between emails, okay? And you see this little bell. This is actually the browser push notification if you have gotten the consent from that person. You can start sending them browser push and emails so you can optimize the click-through rates. All right, you have the reactivation sequence. This is actually really important for those who signed up but then didn't do anything. In the SaaS world, we dread those because they use resources, we pay money to get them, but they don't do anything. So how can we get them back into the platform? So you can use the 30, 60, 90 rule is to send them 30 days of non-activity, 60 days and 90. Some people even do it week 14 and 30. Get creative with this, depending how aggressive, but you definitely need a reactivation for those who signed up and never did anything, okay? And it could be, hey, we've noticed that you haven't launched anything on the platform. We have these ongoing, training sessions. We'd love to invite, whatever, right? All right, more sequences here, guys. We call this the activation sequence. We want people to start using the platform. So we can send them invites to pre-recorded demos, videos, tutorials on how you use the platform, and providing bite-sized chunks of value, okay? We don't want to overwhelm them, but at the same time, we don't want them to lose interest. We want to strike while the iron is hot. And this could be in form of, video 1 on day 1, video 2 on day 2. Invite them to a group training if you have a group training environment. And if they want a one-on-one because they have a lot of questions they couldn't answer from your group training or whatever, then maybe they could book you directly. But this is definitely a question of a high-touch product, low-touch product. If you're selling a $20 a month product, a one-to-one is probably an overkill, okay? Maybe live chat could be the replacement for that. And activating your credit cards. If you have a credit card that needs to be inputted, you might want to check on that. Now I can go on and add like a year anniversary. I can add, lifetime value for clients who spend more than, say, I don't know, have been with us for more than 24 months. You can get a little more creative with this, but this is at least the foundation for SaaS invitations. Any questions on that?
So far, no questions about this, but Darren was asking if Sales Navigator information can be imported or synced into VBOUT. I think Zapier can handle that, Richard?
Sales Navigator is quite tricky with their APIs and stuff like that. I've spoken to some developers who've built wrappers around them, and it's just not 100% reliable because the tech in LinkedIn is always changing, so nobody can get that solid data. So the way they work their API, LinkedIn is very lousy with their APIs, by the way, is they give you the basic stuff like sharing and commenting and, you know, liking and uploading a video. But when it comes to the messaging and getting people's information, they're really weak on that. We're definitely on the lookout for that, Darren. We're not going to be able to create a workaround scraper or an overlay like you've seen with some products. That login, we need to do it via the API, or they could potentially take our entire developer license with them. So unless I'm aware with the new API that came out that allows me to fully integrate with Sales Navigator, it's probably just a matter of time. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. And I think, you know, that integration most of the time is, can I see who connected with me? Can I message them? Can I read the message? Can I create an autoresponder for the messages on LinkedIn? I mean, there's a whole world of business that does that manually. We're on the lookout for that. If we can roll it out for our partners, that will be a good day. Awesome. All right. Not an easy funnel, but trust me, SaaS companies appreciate this. And if you're a marketing agency and you come up with this entire build out of everything, including content, this is an easy funnel to charge a premium price for. All right. Last but not least, e-commerce funnel. And you can get as creative as you can with this, but I'll cover the absolute basic here. We have the end result is buying. Everybody knows this in e-commerce, right? We want people to buy that product. We come back to the source, which is the paid channels, or if you're running an ad, maybe you work in your email list, you syndicate it through partner channel, whatever, influencer outreach. You need to get people to a product. And that's the consensus. It's probably just housed in your e-commerce shop. Some people navigate, they create a rule that when you get to the product, if you're selling a one product, they remove any navigation. They don't want you to do anything but add to the cart or close the page. And then they drop in a retargeting pixel. On that page, 10 seconds later, they drop in, you know, get 10% on your first order. This has worked magic for Banana Republic, for Speedo, for any of these popular e-commerce sites. They always give you like a first time buying discount. If you're working with an e-commerce client, try it. Okay. Or you can trigger a browser push prompt. It doesn't matter. I think email is my first option here. Obviously, you go to the shopping cart. If they try to buy something and they don't, you can send them an abandoned cart sequence. So this is the first sequence. And that sequence can be an hour after, don't wait too long. The day after, a couple of days after, and then the week after, okay? Stay in touch with those who abandoned the product because they probably know you enough to take action. Some companies, they introduce an upsell page before people buy, right? Amazon does this very well. Instacart, by saying, hey, did you forget this item in your cart, or would you like this? You know, you ordered this last time. Did you want to add anything to it? Upsell pages have done really well for some industries. So if you can introduce this to your technology, I think upsell pages are great. Finally, once they pay, you can send them to a thank you and spread the love. This is where a lot of companies, they actually leverage this to drive reviews. Okay, so don't underestimate the power of thank you pages. And now you can drop a different retargeting pixel for Facebook. So you can target your clients, right, those who bought, with a slightly different offer. Okay, and this is probably a little bit more advanced analytics if you have different product tiers. But I've seen clients do like an upsell for a membership, or they're providing bundles and stuff like that. So think about it if that's the right thing for you. Now, the sequence that could take place from there is, okay, leave a review for the product. Maybe they didn't do it here. It could be products related to that product that you could upsell them or cross-sell them on. You can send them a coupon for the next purchase if you're into the coupon game. You can send them an anniversary of your last order. And if you have renewal products, obviously, you can send them renewal reminders for, hey, your shampoo is about to expire. You bought it 3 months ago, and now it's time for a new one. You can get super creative with this. And you can see the different pieces of the e-commerce funnel, right? It's all working together here. And we have a full-on session on that in VBOUT, by the way. So if you want more content on e-commerce, we have an academy that discusses all types of workflows for it. So this is it, guys. For all the funnels, I have a bonus here for, let me clear this out though. For funnel ad rotation. Do you want me to do it, or you think there was enough already? Thumbs up if you want me to do it. All right, let's see here. Private chats. Yes, let's do it. All right, let's do it. It's very quick. So these are some of the best practices that we had to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars to figure out what's the best way to rotate ads. And in here, I'm talking about the ads that are sponsored on Facebook or on YouTube or whatever. Number one rule, set up your pixels right. I've seen companies do this often. They don't have retargeting pixels. People come in from an ad, they pay $5, $10 a click, and they don't retarget that person again. So set up your pixels on your landing pages and your website successfully, as well as your thank you pages. Group campaigns properly. So that means you have to have proper groupings of campaign. It could be the campaign targeting existing clients. It could be retargeting campaign, cold retargeting, or warm retargeting. I'm going to show you that in a second. You have to tag your links with UTMs because you want to know if somebody clicked on an ad that includes a guy with a shirt with his head cut off is performing better than a guy with a full picture and a pink shirt and maybe some sort of a background. So people do this rotation well, and the ad that performed best is the one that keeps on running. Don't quit too early. Calculate or factor in two times your costs of acquisition. So if you need 3 months to close a deal or 6 months to close a deal, you need to test your ads for 6 months. Don't do it for a month and leave because you wasted your money, right? So you need to be patient enough to invest for 6 months until you start closing, because you need to build a pipeline. You need to go through the ad learning phase. So we estimate almost spending twice your customer acquisition cost to start seeing some traction. And in terms of ad rotation, I'm going to teach you just a quick strategy. This is, I think, the holy grail of retargeting is that you start with a cold retargeting. That means you're targeting those who never heard about you. And these are samples from VBOUT. This was the first ad, which is the comparison chart tool. We had probably over 8 different types of ads with the same exact offer. This one was an animated GIF. This one was a video of one of our success managers. I had a couple of other videos and a still image. So we segmented our budget accordingly to have, a $20 a day on each one of these ads. And we let it rotate until we got the best performing one. And finally, once we got people to visit this and opt in, we created a warm retargeting. Warm retargeting are slightly different types of ads that are actually case studies, testimonials, clients talking about the product, a little bit more advanced, I would say deeper product features or service features. But you can do this with clients who already know who you are, right? You couldn't have done it with people who don't know who you are. And in terms of retargeting, you can think of creating lookalike audiences. You can think of creating, exclusion audiences for those who never took action or clients who wasted your time. So really get creative with these. And I do know many of you are thinking in the back of their mind, Apple killed retargeting. I don't think that's going to be as easy to do to Facebook. Facebook's network is so huge that they could track you on WhatsApp, they could track you on Instagram, and a slew of other products. You're going to see probably a reworked version of retargeting. You're going to see ads being displayed slightly differently, maybe less on those third-party content sites. But retargeting is not going away for a little bit because these websites are so powerful. So this is it, guys. If you have a funnel, you're building it for yourself or you're building it for your clients, I want you to think of it as a process and a user experience. You need an offer, solid offer. You need an end goal, source of traffic, and think of it as an art. Once you get the all pieces together, it can definitely bring you results. and always set your KPIs in place so you know what you're tracking, and it needs to bring results. Otherwise you shut it off or you tweak the parts that are not performing best. Whew, all right. Thank you so much, guys. I'll take any questions. I know we're spilling a little bit over, but as you can see, that's a lot of content.